the north. Here's kind of a fiery sunset off in the distance, mixed in with some of the flashes of lightning, heavier downpours, 79 degrees. Feels like 82, and I mean, you can see how energetic these storms are. A little bit better now through the blinding rainfall as that sun continues to set. We can actually see these flashes of lightning occurring nonstop practically. And then when that rainfall isn't quite as apparent, we can see that sunshine, or well, what's left of it, continue to kind of move on out of our area as that sun continues to set. Let's go out a little bit further west out here towards Winona. I don't know if this is live. I think that may have been from earlier on. So I don't think that one's pulling up real footage. That one may have been struck by lightning. Out here in Maven, we can actually see a few strikes just off screen, but at least focusing on drier conditions further out west for you guys, kind of closer towards the Mississippi Delta. But 79 degrees feels like 82. You guys have gotten some showers and storms, and I know y'all are hearing quite a few rumbles just on the doorsteps of y'all city as those continue to stay just a little bit further out west. So again, overall coverage continues to be a little bit less than what we were dealing with earlier, but we're still dealing with some impactful storms as they move through North Mississippi. Let's see when these are all supposed to expire. And they're kind of just all on top of each other. So it's going to be hard to get a good frame of mind, but it looks like we're talking around 7:45 to 8:15 to 8:30 for all of these different warnings. So we still have a ways to go, and actually it's 7:45 right now. So we might see one of these warnings clear on up to allow us to get a better visual on what's currently continuing into the next half hour or so and what's not. But we're still going to deal with just heavy rainfall moving through our region. We can take a look at our peak threats because hail has been a concern today, a little bit more for others compared to all of us here in North Mississippi. And I'll tell you right now where we could expect hail to continue falling. That's where you guys just outside of Winona. Take a look at how that darker shade of purple is starting to pop on up ever so slightly. We'll turn off lightning. That way you guys can see the colors a little bit better. It continues to be heavy, blinding rainfall, which could influence the potential for some flash flooding. We actually saw a flash flood warning earlier on in North Mississippi, thankfully not dealing with any at this moment in time. But we're also continuing to monitor the hail threat as that continues to be one of the things that we want to keep a close eye on. We can take a look at our hail swath presented by True Shield Roofing. I will say that I don't think hail will be as impressive as what we dealt with earlier on this evening. We're kind of hoping that these storms kind of already reached its peak intensity, at least kind of more with that daytime heating, that sunshine continuing to just kind of bake us here in North Mississippi. And all these storms are just kind of fighting over what's left here in the atmosphere. With how disorganized these are, they just continue to pop up everywhere, and we're starting to lose more and more fuel heading into the next few hours ahead. So that continues to be a positive thing, but we still want to make sure to stay weather aware heading into our evening overnight period. So let's sum up our threats here as we get ready for the rest of our evening. We're taking a look at our severe weather risk. We have been upgraded to that level 2 slight risk that happened earlier on today, and that's encompassing most of North Mississippi here as we're dealing with some of those severe weather threats. Now, tornadoes, that continues to not be a concern as we head into the evening overnight period. What you're seeing here, those green boxes, those are those severe thunderstorm watches. That is not a severe weather risk. If we were to be talking about one, it would look like this. Well, actually, a better one would be our hail. Take a look at that green. It's starting to blend in. I need to see if I can take off. Yeah, we'll just take off those watches really quick. We're talking about large hail risk across portions of North Mississippi, and that's what we saw earlier on today. I think that threat will continue to diminish into the overnight period. But if we take a look at wind, that's kind of what drew that level 2 slight risk to be issued here for portions of North Mississippi. So that continues to be one of the risks that we're going to continue to see throughout the overnight time period ahead. And then we can come back towards our radar, take that off screen. That way you guys kind of know what we're dealing with. I mean, take a look at those brighter returns down here close to Winona. That's where we're going to see most of our hail kind of continue to develop and maybe work its way down towards the surface. I mean, if we were to zoom in really tight on this, we can start to see some of those brighter DBC, or technically, I guess you'd say darker in this case, with them kind of getting over 60. I mean, we're talking about 67 and a half. Let's see if I can kind of see it, 65. I'll have to clear it every time. But yeah, we're talking about high levels of DBC, which means what it's picking up on, that radar beam, it's highly reflective and not, or just a lot of raindrops. And what's highly reflective up there in the sky in those clouds, hailstones. So it is probably picking up on not only heavy rainfall, but the potential for some hail to be occurring out there. We can take a look at our echo tops, and of course, yeah, we're dealing with some tall clouds. If you were with us all the way at the start of our afternoon when we started tracking these storms before they became warned, this was coverage started at around 3 o'clock. We were dealing with echo tops all the way up to 60,000. We were talking about some of those bright pink returns. We're just 5,000 below that here, as you can see, kind of right within that red ring. So we're still talking about vertical, tall development with these thunderstorms as they continue to maintain its strength, kind of build up before dumping all of that out. So would not be surprised if we have kind of one of those hail cores within this severe thunderstorm that is still ongoing, which now that I've mentioned it, see if they did eventually. Yeah, okay, so one of those warnings has been removed. We're talking about this severe thunderstorm warning for Montgomery, Webster, Choctaw, and portions of Carroll. That is set to expire around 8:30, so still have another 40 minutes if they don't cut that off a little bit ahead of time. And then we have another severe thunderstorm warning a little bit further downstream with that thunderstorm ongoing, but that is set to expire at 8:15. So a little bit less time. Not quite seeing the same level of intensity, especially as you can see here with the echo tops. We're talking about taller cloud tops further up north, located within that severe thunderstorm warning for Winona, Eupora, you guys out there towards Ackerman. I would say that that's a little bit stronger than what we're dealing with out there in Tala. But I mean, I mentioned that. Take a look at reflectivity. We're starting to see some of those brighter returns start to pop on up. So we could still see some of this vertical development continue to strengthen and intensify into the evening and kind of next few minutes ahead. So let me do this behind the scenes and pull up the chat. That way I can see any questions you guys have. Yeah, James is already mentioning that the Kosciuszko camera doesn't move, but it's live looking southwest. Okay, that's good to know for future purposes because I was wondering which direction that is at. Rumbling in Starkville at times. Yes, definitely probably hearing quite a few rumbles as it continues to move through North Mississippi. And honestly, I think those are all the chats we have right now. So not seeing too many chitter chatter out there, which is always a good sign when we're discussing severe weather. So you guys seem to be in a good spot so far, but we're going to continue to look at our threats. We'll take a look at our wind. Because I know somebody was asking yesterday, especially when we were talking about microbursts and kind of throwing that term out there, you could sometimes pick it up on radar if it's strong enough and just really apparent. But thankfully, I'm not really seeing any immediate signs of that at this moment in time with our relative wind. Let's look at storm. Again, we're really not talking about anything tornadic. That is not a threat today. If we're looking at our peak impact, which always shows us worst case scenario, we're not even talking about that red color. That's a thing that I love pointing out for you guys, especially during these summertime months when we're dealing with severe weather. Tornadoes continues to be a big concern for a majority of us, as we can have some storm PTSD or anxiety on what could occur within the next few minutes if we're under those severe thunderstorm warnings. If we were talking about anything tornadic or anything rotating, we would start to see some of that red pop up here on our peak impacts. That is not a concern. It's heavy downpours, damaging wind gusts, and the potential for some hail, which we've already seen several examples of here in North Mississippi, unfortunately, with some reports that you guys have sent in. So appreciate all of you guys for staying safe and doing so in a safe manner. We never want you guys going out there to look for it. We want you guys to stay indoors, stay safe. Of course, you can send things through the window. We definitely don't want you guys going out, or at least until it is safe to do so. So we're still dealing with some heavy showers, rumbles of thunder. We can turn back that lightning to continue taking a look at that here. Our total strikes are up to 623. If I were to move out of the way, that way you guys can see I'm always covering it up with my head. Let's back this up just slightly to see how these strikes have continued. Oh yeah, we're continuing to climb. So around, oh yeah, we're just going to continue to see those strikes continue to build on up, which means these storms are overall fairly healthy. Maybe we're having just a small decline, but we're definitely going to see these kind of energetic storms continue into the next few minutes here, and these severe thunderstorm warnings ongoing here in North Mississippi. So let's come back to now. And we also kind of want to look at how the hail core has changed, at least with our peak impacts. It looked a little bit stronger just north of Winona, especially just north of Highway 82, just northeast of the city itself. And then the latest few scans has kind of dropped slightly, but we are seeing some Southeast movement with these storms. So we definitely don't want to see this continue to sit on top of you guys for too long, especially with just how heavy this rainfall continues to be. If we take a look at our rainfall rate, I mean, these are just heavy amounts continuing to dump over you guys. So 7.6 inches just north of Highway 82, just east of Winona. For you guys out here towards Eupora, y'all are getting almost 2 inches an hour. Just northwest of Ackerman, 6 inches. Southwest of Ackerman, over almost 7.5 inches. And just south of Kosciuszko, I'm going to have to shift to south. I don't want to risk clicking the SBC and kind of take off all this. Let's see if I can get perfect spot right there, around 4.5, which that might be a little bit heavier. So we're still dealing with heavy amounts of rainfall. We can take a look at our rain totals, which I'd be curious to see how much we're getting out here towards this northeast or northwest of Eupora within Webster County. Let's take a look at how much this is. That's around 3.5 inches. Oh, I wanted to see what that was. Let's see if we got that a little bit higher, kind of with that darker orange pixel. Yeah, 3.7. So we're almost to 4 inches just northwest of Eupora out there in Webster County. So again, much needed rainfall, but we definitely don't want to deal with the severe weather that comes with it. Unfortunately, that's typically how it goes here in North Mississippi. When we finally get a lot of rainfall, it's typically due to some of these storms being on the stronger side, Matt, and we want to continue watching that as they eventually will continue to shift out of our coverage area.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things that we've fortunately seen is more and more examples of the good kind of pictures. I see some sunset pictures coming in. I'll let you kind of log a few of those, some pretty ones here in a second, of really these same thunderstorms as they continue to, again, try to produce severe weather and, knock on wood, not produce a whole lot there. Also add to this James's picture of the damage in the Eupora area, if we can. Okay. We'll look at that here in a minute. So, okay. As we kind of bring it in here to our remote weather center shop for a moment, Chief Meteorologist Matt Lawpon again alongside our Caleb Edelblut. I'm dealing with some network issues, I think, here, which has kind of made things a little blocky from time to time. I think there's some additional equipment back there in the studios that we're going to have to reboot here. For one reason or another, it's gotten a little slow on us tonight, but just like sometimes your phone slows down, computer slows down. And that can happen with our stuff too. And so hopefully it'll pick back up here in a minute. But most of this storm here in and around the Pelez area, back toward around Poplar Springs, is below severe limits. Our severe threats, looking specifically at that there. You can see how there are a couple spots along this line that are a little more intense or impressive than others. Right here close to Minerva, one of those locations obviously as well. Decent number of lightning strikes on that. We'll go from not just the peak threat, which what this is, but get it reinforced with our hail swath where we look specifically for hail. We're still in the possible category. We have not had a lot of reports of hail recently, so possible a sign that maybe not actually occurring with that. 3D, the way in which we kind of evaluate these probably the most effectively. And looking 3D on these are not quite as tall as some of those other thunderstorms that we had a bit earlier on. And so anytime that's the case, that's a good sign, a hopeful sign that we'll continue to see going forward. Check something here. Try auto on that. There we go. So let's go ahead and slice through this. To kind of walk through some of those storms there. Yeah, I mean, most of your darkest returns are there a lot closer to the surface. And so you need to get those kind of pinks and purples once they're up 20,000 feet or greater. That right there for just a brief moment over Poplar Springs. We'll look closer at that in a moment. That's one of the spots where it's showing up there. And another little spot there up just north of 82 as well. So there are a couple locations there where that is the case, where we're starting to see a few of those kind of popping up. Go ahead and clear this off here for a moment and look outside of that near French Camp, another storm, and a couple others down here in Itala County. But these aren't quite as tall or impressive. I think we can kind of look at the whole grouping there a little more closely as well. So again, slicing through the whole thing and walking from kind of north to south there. Yeah, south of Kosciuszko, that one looks like we have it a little bit above the surface as well there. But while you get a black return, it's more 10,000 feet. and the other storms not quite there. And same thing with our storm near McCool. That one's a lot lower as well. So these are not as intense as what the storms were that we had earlier on. So in the possibly maybe category as opposed to the absolutely causing some issues category like we had earlier. Now, up here into North Alabama, up there again north of Florence, that's kind of a bit of a different story. These definitely look a little more rough for some spots there. Let's go and clean that up a little bit. Checking the height on these and where it's putting the heaviest precipitation. I think we'll kind of migrate that from farthest away a little bit closer there. Now, I say that, and it's not quite as high on some of that. Well, let's check our camera up there. We'll go to Iuka. I might have to swing that one around and into that. Again, a shot here from our Mississippi Live camera there in Iuka, brought to you again by Farmers and Merchants Bank. There have been some storms northern part of Tishomingo County over the last 45 minutes or so that obviously have moved into West Alabama. Let's see if I can get that one and flip this one around just a little bit more. That's looking kind of northeast. Actually, that's the right direction there because you can see the flashes. We just any farther to the right there and we sort of lose our camera shot in the tower. So this is about as good as we're going to get on that one there at this time. You know, most of us, you know, for as much as we've talked about storms today, it's a lot of leftover clouds showing up on most of our cameras there. And Amory, a good example of that. Just some of the sort of convective debris from showers, I should say. A couple little showers. If I move this side here, you can see showing up there on radar within the county. I hear the noise behind the scenes. That's good. Monitoring the severe weather risk for today from a few different spots. A couple of the cameras here of note going west to Clarksdale, where just again kind of leftover clouds looking back toward the west there. See if we got any of these that most of these aren't terribly impressive at this time. Tupelo, not the case. Again, kind of looking way back toward the west and northwest at the leftover clouds. It's really down toward Ackerman and Kosciuszko where they're a little bit more impressive. Again, Ackerman, the storm's kind of all around. The rainfall, the lightning still showing up on that one. I shouldn't say that these aren't impressive because clearly from that shot there, we're looking the correct direction. This one looking southwest. Unfortunately, we cannot move this camera. We'd want to go to the left a little bit more with the heaviest storm there. This on the Breezy News Tower down there in the Kosciuszko area. We'll slide up back down to Carthage. Look out of that camera there. Again, decent amount of lightning coming out of that storm. 86 degrees with a heat index of 91. Again, we got both cloud to cloud up there and then cloud to ground as we're looking back northward toward some of those thunderstorms up to the north of that toward Attala and eventually Choctaw counties farther to the north. Bring it back again. We'll go Choctaw County on that camera there. We might move Ackerman just a little bit. We'll double check that where that's looking toward the north. That's pretty decent direction for what we would hope and expect to see. It's a lot of lightning on this one. That's for sure as it kind of catches up here to our camera image. Just a lot of lightning. So some power disruptions remain possible out of that and some of the other thunderstorms that we do have. I do see a picture of some damage being sent in there. I think this is the Webster County damage earlier on that our meteorologist Caleb Edelblut was tracking a little bit ago. This from closer to the Eupora area where this is, Caleb. That's certainly a tree split in half, not something good to see. Luckily, no cars under it.
This was sent in by James, one of our storm chasers, showing that tree damage did occur. So wanted to highlight that on still some more damage pictures coming in. And Matt, let me know if my audio sounds good. I know people in the comments were saying it may have sounded a little staticky, so hopefully that's fixed. But still seeing some of that damage out there. But on the bright side, we're getting a whole lot of cloud pictures. Am I sounding good? Is that all right?
No, you're not. I was really hoping your audio issue was on my end. Would you switch with the other mic pack?
I can. I've been using the same one, but I can switch.
Yeah, let's change the other mic pack real quick. I'm gonna stick
Okay,
with it. Just unplug it, plug the other one back in real quick.
sounds good.
I'll pop up that camera, and once you or that shot, and once you get over there, we'll come back. But yeah, so many great pictures like this one here. Kind of what we call the anvil cloud of the storms. On the top of that one, sometimes we call it an overshooting top. Yeah, there we go. Nice and centered up. A great, beautiful shot sent in using the Mississippi Live app. Bring Caleb back in here for a moment and check his audio and pray to God that everything's working with it.
Test, test,
Say
test.
something.
We're looking at a lot of fun clouds.
Oh, that's great.
Perfect. There we go. So maybe it's a box issue. We're going to
I've
narrow down the
been-
issues for Matt. Help him out here.
Oh my God, I've been trying to tech support that for 25 minutes.
There we go.
And I was certain that it was something else behind the scenes, because they're also, every time we're doing the transition, I see the transition here. I need to see it real quick. Because the cut point's wrong on the transition. See? Because that's playing back too fast.
It is.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to figure out why that's doing that. But anyway, yeah, go ahead. Okay, I'll let you actually handle some of the pictures.
Okay, one problem off the list, and we'll add one more to it. But like our chief meteorologist Matt Laubon was just mentioning, we're enjoying seeing a lot more cloud pictures, or at least these thunderstorms out in the distance, meaning most of these not as on top of us as what they were. Now, a few of us still dealing with these thunderstorms, of course, but it's nice to see them from a distance. I mean, beautiful, just tall vertical clouds. You can see that sun begin to set, kind of that golden haze, and then the still white puffy clouds further up top as that anvil starts at the tropopause and kind of spread on out. Believe it or not, clouds can only form so high, hits a level to where it's not possible anymore. We're seeing that here again with another beautiful sunset shot of sunset shot. That's a fun word to say back to back. Another great shot of this thunderstorm out there in the distance as that tall vertical development. Start to see that tropopause. It fans on out with that anvil. I know some people have already sent me message that there are a few crawlers, or kind of the lightning that likes to kind of go on the top of these cloud, I guess, tops, not base. And those continue to kind of light up the sky as we're talking about some lightning. Here's a great shot of just some clouds, no thunderstorms, with some of those sunsets continuing. But speaking of lightning, I mean, constant flashes out here in Ackerman. I mean, 77 degrees. Thankfully feels like 77. So it's been a while since we could talk about that we're actually in the upper 70s by the, well, not even 9 o'clock hour. We're at 8 o'clock right now, so ahead of schedule. But unfortunately, that is due to some severe storms continuing to move through North Mississippi. That dew point right around 77 as well. So we're talking about rainy conditions as just a light show continues to be held.
Head over the wall.
Do what?
Go ahead and head back over to the wall.
Okay,
I think I figured out the issue, by the way. We upgraded the version of our switcher software today, and clearly it has a couple of bugs with it. That explains the problem that we've had with some stuff.
All right.
Upgrades. Don't you love it when they're downgrades?
Gotta love it. Always a give and take sometimes. But let's continue taking a look at these severe thunderstorm warnings, giving a light show to us here in North Mississippi as that sun continues to set. This is honestly probably what was happening a lot during the thunderstorms that we were looking at earlier, just with it still being daytime, that blinding rain. We couldn't see those constant flashes. Well, now we can. So it is definitely a light show here, at least in Choctaw County. You can see out there with our camera in Ackerman, but we're still dealing with these severe thunderstorms as they continue to march through North Mississippi. This is actually the one out there in Northwest Alabama. So let's just zoom back out here, kind of reset for a second as we take a look at kind of what's currently ongoing here in North Mississippi. I'm meteorologist Caleb Edelblut with our chief meteorologist Matt Laubon. We're taking a look at some severe thunderstorm warnings. Now, for you guys further up north, I know it has been very active for you guys, especially out here in Pontotoc County. You guys are doing a little bit better, starting to get those outages back online and starting to see those numbers decrease. We're now focusing our attention to severe thunderstorm warnings further on south in our coverage area, kind of creeping through almost the southern portions of the Delta, but affecting you guys out here towards Webster, Choctaw, Winston, Atala, and then even portions of Carroll and Holmes. Now, I will say not really affecting you guys as prominent right now, but one of the reasons you guys are included in that is because one of the words of the week we've been talking about a lot are outflow boundaries. We saw it a lot earlier on today as kind of back building occurred out there in Pontotoc, but we could see these storms kind of start to shift a little bit and affect you guys out there in the most northeastern portion of Holmes County. So that's why you guys are included in that thunderstorm warning, kind of just to give you guys a good heads up before it makes it to y'all, and want to always make sure that y'all kind of get these alerts ahead of time. So let's zoom in here. We're going to continue to break down these thunderstorms as they continue to rumble just next to Oktibbeha County, the 8 to 10 Maben community. You guys not really seeing or getting much of it, which honestly, I mean, take a look at this just right outside of Kosciuszko. Take a look at those kind of the brighter colors starting to come back. We're talking, no, it's definitely over 52. Let's see if I can get that a little bit better here. 58. I bet we're over 60 with some of those returns. So we're talking about still tall vertical thunderstorms continue to develop. This is just south of Kosciuszko. This is honestly how our day started. Just a little blip on the radar, and that updraft just continues to really build on up and force all those rain droplets and potential like hail up high in the sky. So we're kind of seeing that again down here in the southern portions of Atala County, where those thunderstorm or severe thunderstorm warnings have been issued. And wanted to make sure to keep you guys all included as these continue to honestly maintain its strength and continue building on up. So let's take a look at our peak threats here. I'd be curious to see what that hail is coming back. Yeah, we're talking about a little bit darker shade, and actually that latest scan just added some more. So we're talking about that potential force hail growing slightly. Again, with what our chief meteorologist, Matt Laubon, just said, I mean, I don't think we're going to be dealing with the same level of intensity as what we dealt with earlier today, but also we're just not out of the neck of the woods just quite yet, as we're still dealing with some of these storms being on the stronger side. So for you guys out there just south of Kosciuszko, y'all are going to deal with that. And honestly, I think we have a camera south, yes, out here, just south of Atala County. And let's see if it's facing north, because this is in Carthage. Yeah, I mean, a great shot at some of those thunderstorms that continue to just rumble, light up the sky. 86 degrees for you guys out there. Feels like 91. So again, in the grand scheme of things, where we have been during the 8, 9 o'clock hours, feeling like 91. Not too bad, but I know we'd like to feel a little bit better. But I mean, we can see those thunderstorms continue to slowly inch closer and closer towards you guys in Carthage. It'll still take a while if they were to maintain its strength. But I mean, constant flashes of lightning. These are energetic storms continuing to feed off of the energy here in North Mississippi. I'd be curious to see what our Philadelphia camera is looking at. You can kind of see some of that convective debris out there in the distance, a beautiful sunset. Not seeing many flashes of lightning. I'd be curious to see if what behind me might be the top of a thunderstorm out there in the distance, or more of that convective debris starting to kind of appear in frame. But not quite seeing or facing any of those storms at this moment, but at least beautiful for you guys. 86 degrees feels like 91, that dew point right around 70. So at least you guys staying dry. And actually, it looked like I saw a flash of lightning kind of off the rooftops. We might be looking the complete opposite way. So I might have to look at that behind the scenes and see if we can rotate that. I think it might be behind the camera based off the flash that I just saw. But again, I want to come back to Ackerman again, go through all of our cameras as we're just still talking about energetic storms. This is actually kind of in the thick of it based off what we were looking at in Carthage just a few moments ago. With just those constant flashes of lightning. Is a lot darker here because that cloud cover really blocking the sunshine and lack thereof into the evening hours ahead as it continues to set. Let's see Greenwood, if that one's facing east, or there might be a pole that blocks it, because most of the time we look at our storms from the west. But yeah, there we go. 82 degrees feels like 93. So 11-degree difference for you guys not getting these stronger showers and storms. But we can see those flashes of lightning out there in the distance. Some of that just overcast gray, ominous looking clouds. Again, we're not dealing with anything tornadic. That is not a threat whatsoever. We want to continue emphasizing that. And it looks like that might even be some of that heavy rainfall. You kind of see a difference between that lighter view towards the horizon and a little bit darker. I would say that's probably our heaviest precip occurring with some of those thunderstorms out there just east of Greenwood, kind of facing towards the rest of our coverage area. Let's see if our camera up here in Maben gives us a good shot. Again, we're dealing with some of those darker gray clouds. That lightning, I'm always covering up with this camera. I forget, it's right to the left. We can see some of those flashes, but again, 77 degrees for temperature. Feels like dew point, so 777s should be a good sign. Hopefully you guys are going to stay a little bit drier and not have to deal with that thunderstorm getting closer, but we're going to continue monitoring that in case it starts to make its way towards the east and closer towards you guys out there in Oktibbeha. And speaking of Oktibbeha, I don't believe that the warning, yeah, they're making sure to keep you guys outside of it. So y'all are not under that severe thunderstorm warning. They're expecting this slow development to continue. But let's take a look at this hail potential out here over Winona. I mean, you guys might be able to get a few hailstones. Now, I'm hoping it's not the same size and kind of intensity that we were seeing earlier out there in Pontotoc and Ecru. But let's match this up with our reflectivity. I bet it's probably having to catch up. I think it's what was over Hendricks. Might have been over that spot just a few scans ago. Let's see what that looked like. Yeah, there's a potential that that was probably dropping some hail just south of Fox, north of Highway 82, east of Winona. You guys probably could have gotten some hail probably around 15 minutes ago. That was around 8 o'clock, and it still just continues to slowly inch forward and kind of almost back build yet again. I mean, take a look at that. We're starting to talk about that heaviest precip and the potential for some hail just south of Fox. And I'll keep my finger there right along the edge. And look how it kind of shifts further west, kind of following that boundary, that back building continuing to occur and start to affect you guys out there in Winona. So showers and thunderstorms are going to continue, especially for you guys in the severe thunderstorm warning. So even though it looks like it's kind of moving further east, you guys are still included in the warning for a reason. We could still see some of those showers and storms kind of continue to almost travel along 82 towards you guys out there in Winona. Am I seeing things, or did I just kind of see that blip get a little bit bigger? Yep. I mean, take a look at that. Still some heavier downpours continuing to form just outside of the warning, not meeting severe criteria, thankfully. But we're still talking about just energetic storms continuing to move through the southern portions of our coverage area here. Let's see if our Macon camera would have a good shot. That should have both the sunset and the thunderstorms out there in the distance. If it, well, lacking a sunset. I keep forgetting it's already 8:15. Time's flying as we're covering the severe weather. We're starting to enjoy, I guess, darker conditions as we get ready for the evening, but you could definitely tell those flashes of lightning further out west. Yeah, we're facing west at 268 degrees right now. Oh, there's a bolt right behind me. So we're still going to see some cloud to ground strikes that could cause some more power outages here in North Mississippi, which we could take a look at that here with our percentage and see how those are affecting us. Let's zoom out and kind of tally these. We're going to see these outages continue to grow further south. So we're talking about, yeah, take a look at how those continue to rise a little bit. Let's look at specific numbers. Yeah, there we go. So starting to see those continue to climb. We'd like to see those start to decrease, but would not be surprised for Attala, Choctaw County, maybe even portions of Winston here soon, if those numbers were just going to continue increasing. As you can see, all those lightning strikes, those are all bolts that are occurring right now, continuing to increase. Those are a big concern as we head into the next few minutes here, as these severe thunderstorm warnings are currently ongoing. So speaking of that, let's take a look at when they're set to expire. If we could see earlier expiring, or expire a little bit earlier, that would not hurt any of our feelings, but looks like we're on pace to continue to at least 8:30 or even longer. So 8:30 is when it's set to expire for you guys out here towards Montgomery, Webster, portions of Choctaw. I hate that Grenada is still included in that. I would not expect you guys in the southeastern portion to start seeing more storm activity. So hopefully they'll start shaving that a little bit for you guys. So those are set to expire around 8:30. Our severe thunderstorm warning actually further on south, I believe, got extended to 9 o'clock. So this is for Carroll County, portions of Holmes, Attala, Winston, and Choctaw as well. So we still got a ways to go until we can really stop talking about these severe thunderstorm warnings ongoing in our southernmost portion of our coverage area, and even looking a little bit further out west. I mean, quite a few severe thunderstorm warnings across the Mississippi River out there towards Arkansas. And I think this was something that one of our models we were showing earlier was starting to pick up a little bit. That could occur later on overnight as it slowly makes its way closer and closer towards you guys in the Delta. But as we continue into the overnight period, hoping that it doesn't have as much fuel or that remnants of daytime heating to kind of act on, but we still want to keep our eyes on that as you guys are enjoying dry conditions. but could start to see some of those storms creep in. Now, our Greenville camera might actually be facing west across the river. We might be able to see some of those thunderstorms out there in the distance. Yeah, this one's facing west. I don't know if we'll be able to see any flashes. I think it's going to be further out here and might just be off screen, but we might be able to see some of those out there in the distance. We can take a look at Rolling Fork. I just always kind of like going through our cameras. It gives us great shots on what's currently ongoing for you guys out here in Mississippi. So 88 degrees, unfortunately feels like 99, so 11-degree difference, 11-degree warmer. So still kind of feeling pretty toasty out there in the southern portions of the Delta. Let's go take a look out here in Cleveland. Y'all are at around 81 degrees, but feels like 84, so not bad as y'all are getting to wind down for the evening, get ready for y'all's Friday. Much anticipated into the work week as y'all are getting ready for a much drier and relatively cooler weekend as drier air will start to funnel into our region. And that's due to these storms today. It's due to a front moving in. And although we have to go through these kind of stronger storms and that brings some of this intensity, we typically can rely and enjoy cooler, in quotation marks, conditions on the back end of it heading into the next few days as this front is kind of pushing out that humidity, that moist air, and replaces it with drier continental air that's coming from further up north. And we all know the further north you go, get a little bit cooler. So that's going to help us out heading into the next few days here. Let's pull up the chat here. I see some of you guys talking. Somebody saying that we like the drier air. Yes, we do. I think we're all counting down the days and honestly hours until we can start to enjoy it. Got to the Sturgis bike rally. Oh, wait. Got the Sturgis bike rally going on. They going to get wet. Yep, definitely heavy downpours out there. Hey, I'm seeing thunder in Lamar County. Will it get bad? And are there any chances of a tornado? No, there are no chances for a tornado here in our viewing area. But, I mean, we can even zoom this out to look at it kind of for the Southeast in general. We are not dealing with that here in North Mississippi or any of our coverage area. Let me turn off those boxes again. It looks like we have a threat. We do not. We continue to stay pretty much clear from the risk of tornadoes. Now, you guys out there in Lamar County, y'all will deal with the threat for some hail, and I don't think y'all are included in the hail, which actually they took off. So that continues to be a good update heading into our evening overnight period. So the threat for hail has greatly diminished from what we were expecting and kind of what we saw earlier already. But you guys out there in Lamar could still see some damaging wind risk, especially with some of these thunderstorms if they were to develop on top of you guys. Let me turn all that stuff back on. And we can even talk about some of the hail that occurred earlier on today. But we are thankfully not talking about a tornado threat. So that continues to be a positive. And it looks like, well, there's more warnings getting issued out there in Arkansas, but it looks like the severe thunderstorm warning out there in the northwestern portion of Alabama, they trimmed that, and that's now all the way up into Tennessee. So almost moving technically north, or at least the warnings are, as those storms kind of keep its intensity a little bit further north. So you guys out there in Lamar, actually, let me move this over. I'm starting to see some showers start to develop for you guys. Let's see if I can, there we go. Taking a look here, especially probably hearing a few rumbles. We're only talking about 17 strikes all within this frame right now, but starting to see some of those downpours pretty much between Detroit and Soligent, just north of Highway 278. But Lamar as a whole for y'all's county staying mostly dry. It's the most northern third, starting to see some of those showers start to pop on up. Somebody else asking, what are your thoughts on the storms coming up through Arkansas for North Mississippi? This is something I was just thinking of and kind of talking about just a second ago. I'd be curious because I know our HER model that we were showing earlier did have some storm and development trying to kind of push into North Mississippi for the Delta within our evening overnight time frame. And we can see that, I mean, they're definitely pretty intense, kind of acting off of that fuel further out west. I do like the direction that they're continuing to head, as far as it's not a straight kind of eastward direction, kind of beelining for the river. We're going to continue to see just slow movement in the most southeasterly kind of direction, but we could maybe start talking about a few showers and thunderstorms out there for the southern portions of the Delta, but the overall severity and kind of intensity, I would hope and kind of expect that that should continue to diminish. I mean, each hour that we continue moving further and further into the evening, that daytime heating gets cut off. We are already seeing some storms here in North Mississippi. Now, we haven't seen any development out there in the Delta yet today, so storms technically haven't eaten up any of the fuel out there. But once that sun begins to set and we're just not quite as hot and toasty as we are throughout the daytime hours, it helps to greatly limit that severe weather threat heading into the overnight period. So that continues to be a positive, but we want to make sure to continue to keep our eyes on that as it slowly makes its way closer and closer towards North Mississippi. And as I'm saying that, I think we just got a flash flood warning. Let's see if I can get that. I might have to look behind the scenes. Yeah, flash flood warning that will expire in around 2.5 hours. So we're still dealing with the potential for flash flooding concerns as this rainfall just continues to build up here for our area and then start to just kind of sit still. So let's take this full screen as we continue to analyze that as we're taking a look at heavy amounts of rainfall. We'll take a look, and actually severe thunderstorm warning just got issued yet again. And notice, I mean, it looks hectic because these storms aren't really going anywhere. We're talking about several warnings kind of almost just triangulating over one area. And that's because these thunderstorms just can't really decide where they want to go, and they start back building. And that's exactly why this warning got extended or pushed a little bit further out west, as we're seeing some of that development start to shift kind of along Highway 82, working its way closer towards Greenwood, but making its way towards the westward direction. But again, they're not really moving anywhere. I think the best way we could say it is they're just continuing to almost develop or build on up. They're not really moving as a whole before moving on out. And that's why rainfall and the potential for flash flooding is a huge concern, as we just saw that flash flood warning get issued. So let's take a look at our accumulation. And that's what I was curious about, because I was talking about this earlier. And we saw that those rainfall amounts already pretty high, and the storm hasn't gone anywhere. So we're talking about 3.7 inches just northwest of Eupora, which we might just need to go. Yeah, there we go. Let's just go to past 12 since we have been doing this for a while. I mean, we've seen some heavy showers. Let's turn off those icons. We'll zoom in a little bit closer to get some good readings on what's happening for you guys out there towards Eupora. Flooding concerns, and pretty much just off of Highway 82, just outside of Grady, getting some heavy rainfall. Let's take a look, probably right in the darkest portion. So almost 5 inches of rain. And I don't even know if that is past 6. It'll be between 3 to 6 hours. This is not all happening within a 6-hour time period. This has been pretty recent. So that's why that flash flood warning has been issued. We saw that earlier for Pontotoc, as several reports have been sent in of flooding, whether that's in the ditches, backyards, front yards. Our meteorologist Gabe Boehner, he was out there seeing it in real time, reporting that as well. So definitely that continues to be a concern as these storms continue to move through North Mississippi. So we're talking about heavy rainfall, and we can take a look at our threats again, because I think wind and hail, wind would be a little bit greater than our hail concern at this moment in time. And let's take a look at reflectivity. Okay, yeah, so for you guys out there in Eupora, starting to enjoy drier skies, so hopefully the drainage system and everything will start to catch on up as that storm has shifted just slightly south of Highway 82, so it just took that long to pretty much cross the highway, as it makes some development just a little bit further south. But we're still talking about a few brighter returns. You can kind of see some of these pink and purple starting to pop up just a little bit here with our radar, which typically means we're just talking about heavy amounts of rain, and then the potential for some hail as well. We can see kind of some of those darker purple starting to pop up just a little bit on some increased confidence. So let's take a look at our hail swath. With our hail threat presented by True Shield Roofing. I mean, definitely not out of the question. I think our best chance to see some of that hail that has probably fallen would be just outside of Winona. I think that's probably our best bet on where we probably did see some hailstones make its way down towards the surface. That was just north of 82, and we can zoom in just so you guys can kind of see some of these darker returns. But we were looking at reflectivity earlier, so it's for pretty much Fox, Hendricks, just east of Winona. You guys probably got some of that, the hail, as it kind of eventually made its way down through the downdraft and made its way towards the surface. The good thing is, with how heavy this rainfall is, that helps it to already start melting. And then with how warm, unfortunately, we are here at the surface, well, technically, fortunately, in this case, that will help kind of get those hailstones melted pretty quick and not dealing with it as intense. So let's continue to take a look at reflectivity, and I want to see, we'll turn lightning back on. I mean, again, just energetic storms. We're now up to 827. I don't think those are starting to downtrend. I think we've just continued climbing. Yeah, unfortunately, those just continue to build on up. I think when these warnings started getting issued, if we can go back that far, not within the hour, let's go past 2, 4. Okay, yeah. I mean, these have been going on for a while. We're all the way back towards 6:30, and we're talking about 500 lightning strikes, and these just continuing to build and form and just kind of sit on top of these respective counties for quite a while. Again, it's still slowly making its way further and further southeast, but we had to go all the way back to 6:30. So it's almost been 2 hours, and we didn't have to zoom out or zoom in or anything. We just stayed right in the same graphic, and we're dealing with these showers and storms for a while. So this is at around 8:30 now, current time, and we're dealing with around 831 total strikes. So very, very energetic. We can come back to current right now just to make sure it continues to update and we don't get left behind. But we're still tracking these severe thunderstorm warnings. I'm moving out of the way. That way I'm not covering up any of it for you guys. So this is for, let's see if I can frame this a little bit better. That way we're not covering up anything. There we go. We're talking about a severe thunderstorm warning for you guys out there in Carroll, closer towards Holmes and Atala, Winston, Choctaw, and portions of Webster County. Unfortunately, Grenada is still included. I think the reason they're keeping you guys there is because we have started to see some of that storm to back build yet again, kind of further up west, but it's not quite making its way closer towards you guys in the southwest or eastern portion of Grenada County. So I wish they could clip that out, but I get why they're keeping it there just in case we do see some more of that to occur. But it continuing to make its way further towards Grenada County, I just don't see that happening right now, or at least in the near term. So I think I would wish that they'll start shaving that off throughout the next few updates. But these warnings, it's hard to pick out which one's what. We're going until, well, this one was set to expire around 8:30. So hopefully that one will, there we go. Perfect. Well, we're dealing with one less warning, looking a little bit less messy, as now where it's kind of just 2 defined severe thunderstorm warnings, one set to expire at 9:15, the other set to expire at 9. So we still have another 30 to 45 minutes of these warnings. And honestly, with the track that they're on, would not be surprised if they go the entire way. I don't know if we'll be able to shave them off unless we can really start to see some downtrending occur within the next 10 to 15 minutes. And thankfully, that warning, it was bugging me. Y'all heard me keep talking about it. The one that just expired was including portions of Grenada County. So you guys are now good as those storms continue to push ever so slightly further southeast, but still very, very energetic. Let's take a look at our cameras. We haven't done that in the past few looks. Let's see here. Out here in the Adenton kind of Mabin community, this is the west side of Starkville. 79 degrees, feels like 82, and I mean just dark overcast clouds kind of above you guys. That lightning and heavy precip continues to stay outside of Oktibbeha County. We're not talking about any of that for you guys just yet. If we were to see anything, it's probably going to be for the most southeast or western portion of the county, kind of along the corner, but really not seeing much activity for you guys out there in downtown Starkville, the Mississippi State's campus, throughout all the neighborhoods. So thankfully y'all continue to stay dry, but I know y'all are probably hearing quite a few rumbles continue to ring just west of the county as y'all continue to stay dry. So a good shot out there in the west side of Starkville and Oktibbeha County. Let's take a look out here in Mabin officially. 79 degrees, feels like 82. I don't know which way this one's facing. I need to move this behind the scenes, so bear with me as I do that. Yeah, we're looking at our Mabin camera, and I'm going to move this ever so slightly to the left, and we're going to see if we can kind of get a better shot of that. It'll take a second to catch up. There we go. Now we're looking a little bit too low to the ground. Let's bump that back up ever so slightly. See some of that lightning continuing to ring. See if we can get a perfect shot here. Oh, there we go. We're getting closer and closer towards the storm, so at least a better view of it. So yeah, there's that energetic storm. It's about to catch up here behind me, and I'm going to be covering up most of it. I mean, just constant flashes out there in the distance as that thunderstorm, not affecting you guys out there in Mabin, but pretty much just south west of you guys out there towards Choctaw County and getting closer and closer towards Ackerman. I mean, constant flashes of lightning. So we're in a very energetic setup. That could cause more power outages. That's a concern. Let's take a look in Ackerman as this storm is now going to be pretty much almost on top of you guys as it gets closer and closer. 79 degrees, feels like 82. You can see where our camera is